Okay, I want to discuss a little bit about what this is all about. I talked on an earlier video about these wheels and a Rover car that has what we're calling Omni wheels, also called Mecanum wheels. Where do we get this kit and how does it work? It's working with a BBC microbit, an expansion board which drives the motors, and a battery which is rechargeable. This company originally provided this kit, which I bought and learned about these wheels and this app. This is the app right here, BST Mbit app on Android. It's just called Mbit on Apple. It works with both. It works with any mobile device that can download the app, and that includes tablets and cell phones, old cell phones. We've got some very old cell phones. If they can download the app, they'll work. Where do we get the motors, the wheels, and the expansion board? Microbit is something that's available through a lot of sources. This is the repository that has the code and the assembly instructions for putting together the kit, even though the kit is no longer available. But that's okay, because we can just use our own parts. This bracket, for example, and beams that fit the Lego Technic system, the Lego Mechanical, which also fits the Lego brick system. This is the code, and I've changed it slightly for a couple reasons. Initially, the code given would run the Rover backwards when you push the forward arrow, and forward when you push the backward arrow, if the Rover is away from you. If I push forward arrow, it would come back. So what I did was just reverse the code here. I also took music out of the code. Let me show you again what that looks like. These musical keys would cause the code to stop working when it was written like this. Get an error message on the microbit. So I pulled all these blocks out. I've experimented with the RGB. There are 4 RGB lights on this board which are activated using RGB, but that again causes a problem on the overloading, apparently, the microbit with processing data. So I'm not using RGB yet. I have used it with this app on other cars, but not the Omni system. Now, when this is assembled, the assembly instructions, I will put a link to them. You will see that these wheels have to be in a certain position. Notice that these are, the roller balls are kind of angling out on the front, what I'm calling the front, because I'm looking at the back of the microbit, and on the rear of the Rover, the roller balls have to go in order for it to run. What it's doing is, as the wheels turn, they're canceling each other out. The vector forces of this wheel cancel the vector forces of this wheel when it goes at an angle. So therefore, what's left is the straightforward vector on both of them. Same way with the rear on forward and reverse. And then we can go laterally if we run certain wheels at certain times in certain directions, assuming the speeds are equal. We can turn, we can spin, but that all requires correct. Each motor has to be correctly running in the direction speed required, and that's in code. Now, I'll show you where I'm getting some of these parts and how much they cost. This wheel is very similar to this wheel, and they're showing them for over $10 for each wheel. This isn't quite the same, but it is very similar. I found this wheel that I'm showing you here a little bit smaller in diameter, for about $1 a piece, a little over $1 a piece. Free shipping if you buy $10 or more. Why one is so much cheaper than the other, I don't know. It's off the same AliExpress. Okay, where do we get the motors? And what kind of motors? I typed in an AliExpress Red Geek servo motor, and this is what I get. They're calling it a 360-degree motor. Now, notice that I'm looking at the one that has what I'm calling the DuPont wiring. These black female pin connectors. That would be this one. Notice what's also available is this connector, JST. Either one of them work in this expansion board, but the point is, if you have your code backwards, you can't reverse the JST plug. It goes in only one way, whereas the DuPont can be reversed ground to voltage or ground to signal. This board accepts either. It accepts the JST and it accepts the DuPont. They have little stand-up pins for the DuPont. So you can buy either one, but this one is more convenient. If you have your code backwards, you just flip it around. If you get my point there. These look like they're running about $4, $5 each. Here it says $5.53. Here it's showing shipping of $2.72. This one's showing free shipping over $10. So if you bought a set of 4 wheels and a set of 4 motors, you'd save your shipping cost. Here is the current Yaboom Superbit board from Yaboom Company. It looks different than the one I'm showing you. This one here is version 1 board. It only has 4 JST receiver ports. Here it's got all these other ports for a different system of connecting and coding, but it does have 4 JST No DuPont pins, but 4 JST pins right here. So this would work. It's the new version 2. Works with microbit. Notice it's got 8 sets of servo. Both boards have 8 sets of servo. So you could hook up the gray servo motors in addition to your wheel motors. Wheel motors have 2 pins. Servos have 3 pins. You could hook that up and then raise and lower a bucket or a forklift or that kind of thing. I see that Cytron has the old version 1 available. However, I think it says they only have 1 left in stock of the version 1. So, that pretty much sums up what we've got on how to make this little car run. I'll put a link to the code in the description of the video. There will be more.